Salutations, my dearest friends. My name is Samantha, and today I'm going to be talking about my favorite Sapphic romances. Hello, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back, and welcome back to Trope Week. So if you don't know what Trope Week is, it is a series on my channel where every day for an entire week I pick a very specific romance book trope and give you a ton of book recommendations. I've been doing this series for quite a while now. I think my playlist has like 30 plus videos of different tropes, second chance romances, poly romances, monster romances, friends to lovers romances, hockey romances, like so many different tropes. So I will leave the entire playlist down below. In addition to Trope Week, I am also going to be filming videos every day for 2 weeks. It's going to be leading up to Valentine's Day, which is my favorite holiday ever. My literal favorite holiday ever. I'm obsessed with Valentine's Day. So you guys are gonna have back-to-back videos from me. So make sure to tune in like this is a TV show, kind of. Or my beautiful shirt, my Sapphic romance shirt that my friend Desiree got me. I think she got this from Fugly Barbie. I will link it down below. I'm pretty sure that's where she got it from. I just love it. You have a couple of Sapphic romance videos, whether it's reading vlogs or trope recommendation videos, so I will leave them down below if you want even more content. I did a Sapphic romance video like a while back during Trope Week, but I felt like it was time to revisit it. I do have some new favorites, but I also have others that have been on this list for quite a while because they're some of my favorite books of all time. So I'm just gonna throw them all together here. Love them so much, and I wish they got more hype. Obviously, there are creators who read Sapphic romances and recommend Sapphic romances, but I just want more. I just want more people talking about these wonderful books that I'm about to mention. And also, okay, quick, I promise I'm going to get to the recommendation portion of this video, but every time that I do a Sapphic romance video, I always get that one comment that's like, oh, I don't read Sapphic romances because they're just not sexy to me, or, oh, I don't read Sapphic romances because I just, I don't really see them. They're not that popular. People aren't writing about them. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. I'm so sorry. I hate being negative, but those comments like literally grind my gears. So important for everyone to see themselves represented in romances. Anyways, I don't even know where that rant came from, but I always get that comment. Literally always get that comment of that one person who's like, oh yeah, I don't read Sapphic romances because they're not sexy, or I can't relate to them, and they're reading like a male-male romance with someone who has wings. Make it make sense, bestie. I don't even know if I'm gonna post that rant because I hate being negative, but also if I see one of those comments, I'm deleting it. I swear to God. The very first one I have talked about quite a lot on my channel because it is one of my favorite Sapphic romances, one of my favorite novellas in general, and that is Party Favors by Erin McLennan. It's part of a series, and it's a part of a series where the author focuses on like different holidays, Christmas, Valentine's Day, 4th of July. This one is technically set during New Year's, but I promise you can literally read it anytime. It's not that holiday themed. This is a friends lovers romance. Our heroines meet online and they kind of bond over fashion and art and same music taste, and they just become like best friends online, but they've never met each other in real life. So New Year's rolls around and they decide that they're going to meet up for the first time, spend New Year's together, but they're also going to kind of like make a pact to go through their New Year's resolutions and kind of like push themselves out of their comfort zone. But when they meet each other in person, there is this instant chemistry that neither of them really were expecting to happen. It's so sweet and sexy at the same time. I love a friends to lovers romance. This one is fantastic. I just want everyone to read it because like I cherish this book. It is definitely one of my favorite novellas like of all time. This one is another novella and it's also on Kindle Limited, and this one is So Much More by Isabel Hansen. This one is a best friend sister romance. Kind of. Heroines don't meet in the best terms. One of our heroines is just like walking down the street and the other heroine is not really paying attention to where she's walking and like accidentally like smacks her in the nose to the point where she has to go to the hospital. It was horrible. She feels terrible about it, kind of like an awkward first meeting, and our character basically drives the girl to the hospital and then back home. They kind of flirt a little bit. They have a little bit of chemistry. When they get back home, our heroine realizes that the girl is her roommate's sister, her best friend's sister. There's a storm, so they all get snowed in into the apartment, so it's a forced proximity trope as well. Don't want to make the sister upset, and the sister doesn't really want them to be together, so it's just a little tiny bit forbidden, but of course they end up together, and it is super cute. I really liked this one. I like Isabel Hansen in general. She has a couple other Sapphic novellas that I would recommend. The next one is another novella. Okay, I didn't realize how many novellas we had on this list, but here they are. So we have Being Hospitable by Mika James, and this is another best friend sister romance. It follows Kiki and Charlie. Charlie has always had a crush on her brother's best friend, and she ends up getting like this internship, like I think it's with a hospital, I can't remember. She ends up getting an internship in a new job where she's moving, and her brother's best friend offers to let her stay at the apartment because it's close to her job and it's just convenient for everyone. And she's like, okay, this is my time to shine. This is my time to seduce her. And she does. Kiki has always seen Charlie as like her best friend's little sister, but now she's older and she's seeing her in a different light, and they end up having a fun, steamy time. This also has light BDSM. Kiki is a little bit of a dominatrix and Charlie is a little bit of a submissive brat. If you don't like BDSM, or if you're new to that genre in general, I actually think this is a really, really good one because it is kind of on the tamer side and actually does a good job at explaining the, I don't want to say culture, but like the dynamic between like a dominant and a submissive. So yeah, I really did like this one. What I liked the most about this one was the communication. Like for a novella, there was such good communication between our characters. Okay, so another one that has BDSM elements to it, but this is a full-length novel, also available on Kindle Unlimited, is Being Hers by Anna Stone. Now, Anna Stone has tons of sapphic romances. Like honestly, just pick one. I've read a couple of them and have liked pretty much all of them, but the first one that I read still is my favorite, so that's the one I'm going to recommend. Our heroine works at a bar and she ends up having chemistry with who she thinks is a customer, but turns out to be the owner of the bar that she's working for. Have a bit of an age gap, and the owner of the bar is like this gorgeous, dominant, seductive woman. Her boss basically ends up pursuing her and kind of entering her into this BDSM lifestyle. Again, this is another one where I would say, like, if you're new to BDSM in books, it's not giving 50 Shades of Grey, okay? It's giving much more communication. It's giving all the steaminess and sexy times. I feel like this did such a good job at like explaining the dynamic again of a dominant and submissive relationship, very similar to the last book I mentioned. I read this book a while ago, but I do remember it just being hot and steamy, and I loved like the communication and the dynamic and the writing, and I ended up reading a bunch of other of her books, and she has a poly romance where it's 3 women in the book, I think. 3 women in the book. It's called Forever Theirs. It's the 3rd book in her Mistress series. Love it. Next one that I want to talk about is called Don't Tell Me No by Honey Chanel, and this is another novella on Kindle Unlimited. This one, the setting is kind of bonkers. It's kind of bonkers. So our heroine is married, okay? She's married to a man, and her husband ends up committing fraud at his job and like stealing a ton of money and private documents at his job, and his boss finds out, right? And instead of his boss like firing him or like pursuing legal action, she's like, you know what? You can still work here. You can keep your money. We can keep this all hush hush, but I want your wife. I want your wife. So let's create a contract where your wife is mine for like a certain set of time, and I'll forget like everything that happened. So that's what they freaking do. So basically the wife enters this deal. She signs a contract. The reason it's called Don't Tell Me No is she literally cannot tell our other heroine no. She has to do whatever she says for a certain amount of time. Goes into it to absolve her and her husband's debt, but it turns into them falling for each other. It's an odd bunker setup, but the way our heroine cherishes the wife, like, she does it way better than her husband could, okay? Let me tell you that. So yeah, I know it's a weird setup, but I kind of like when like contracts are involved, like sexy contracts are involved, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? I really like this one, actually. Next one I want to talk about is another novella, you guessed it, and that is Little Green Vines by Britt Andrews, and this is a sapphic monster romance. We love to see it. Our heroine Poppy lives in a forest, okay? Very much giving cottagecore vibes. And she ends up wandering into a part of the forest that she's not supposed to, and stumbles upon like a succubus, like a forest succubus, sex demon type of monster. And this succubus has like had her eyes on Poppy and has been like trying to lure her into the woods, and now that she has her there, oh, she's taking advantage of it. She's gonna seduce her, and it's honestly just like a fun smutty time. So if you love monster romances, this one is great. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. Read it. Let's talk about some historical romances that are sapphic. So the very first one I want to talk about is Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics by Olivia Waite. This is one of my favorite historical romances of all time, and I highly recommend the audiobook because it is so freaking good. Our heroine Lucy is a little bit of a blue stocking heroine. She is an astrologer. Her father is this famous scientist astrologer, and she has helped him write books and has helped him with like multiple scientific endeavors. And she's taking care of all his correspondence. She's trying to write a book for astrology and really make her name in the scientific world, but it's hard because she's a woman in like the Regency time. She ends up coming across our other heroine, Catherine, who is a widow, and her husband was also a famous scientist. So she is very involved in the scientific world and actually becomes Lucy's benefactor. It means like she's donating money for her scientific projects and also introducing her into the scientific world because she is involved and has a lot of money and sway because of her ex-husband. So there is a little bit of an age gap. Lucy ends up living with Catherine as she is writing her book, and they end up falling for each other. This one is so sweepingly romantic, like sweepingly romantic. The energy that this book gave me is like true soulmates. The connection that our characters have, magnifique. And I also loved the side plot. I love the characters by themselves. I just loved everything about this book. Highly recommend. Another one that I really love is Budding Romance by Laura Kinsey. This is a historical romance novella you can find on Kindle Unlimited, and she has a few different historical novellas that have a lot of like diverse set of characters, but this one is a Sapphic romance, and it is between a headmistress and a gardener. So the headmistress just recently bought out this school, creating a school for young ladies, and she's fixing up the school. She's really just starting up and wants the place to look nice, so she ends up hiring a gardener who happens to be another woman, and they have a steamy, fun time. It's a really good one. There's also like a short novella following the same set of characters like right after they get together, and that one was also really sweet. So yeah, highly recommend that one. Historic romance that is really good and super popular, and a lot of people love it. I'm sure you heard of it. It is The Perks of Loving a Wallflower by Erica Ridley. This one is another great historical Sapphic romance if you're looking for it. I am just mentioning Sapphic romances in this video. I do have a couple of historical romances that are poly, where it's like 2 girls, 1 guy. Nicola Davis has a few books like that. Maybe I'll do another video on like poly romances, but Nicola Davis does have a few books where it's 2 girls, 1 guy, and they're all in a relationship emotionally and intimately. So the next one is technically a Christmas book. I know, we're not in Christmas right now, but it is still a really good book, so you can read it anytime. And that is Mangoes and Mistletoes by Adriana Herrera. I love Adriana Herrera, okay? First of all, she's Dominican, so love that for her, love that for me. But I love her writing so much. So this one, if you like the British Bake Show, I don't know why I'm repeating everything twice. I feel like that gives it the emphasis that it needs. Then you'll love this book. So in this one, our heroines are entered into a baking Christmas competition, and they do not get to pick their partners when they get there. They just get paired up with someone kind of randomly, and they end up getting paired with each other, and it's a bit of an enemies to lovers vibe. They're both very ambitious, they both want to win, they have different visions of how they want to handle the competition, and they kind of bump heads. But then they are forced to work together because they're paired together in this competition. They're stuck in the hotel room together, so forced proximity, and it's like in this very romantic like Scottish castle setting, and they fall for each other as they're competing on this like British Bake Show inspired competition. So cute. I love it. And then these are my last 2 that I want to recommend. So this one is a contemporary romance. It's called Written in the Stars by Alexandria Beffler. I hope I pronounced her last name correctly. This is also set during the Christmas time. You can read it anytime. This is a fake dating romance. Darcy and Elle end up getting paired together on a blind date, and it goes horrible. Like, they don't actually have a good blind date. They were paired together by Darcy's brother and Elle's best friend and business partner. So they kind of lie and say that the date actually went really well, and he gets really excited. So they continue to fake date to keep appearances for their family. It's a cute fake dating romance, opposites attract vibes, and it's also a Pride and Prejudice retelling. So highly recommend this one. If you're looking for a YA Sapphic romance, look no further. This is These Witches Don't Burn, and it is a queer, witchy YA romance. The heroine, Hannah, is a elemental witch, which basically means that she can control different elements like fire, water, wind, air, etc., etc. And she's a good witch, okay? But there's something happening in the town where bad witches are taking over, and they're doing something with blood magic, which is like strictly forbidden, and she ends up working with her ex-girlfriend to find out what's going on in the town and like save their coven. But there is a new witch in town that she kind of has a crush on, and they have a little bit of a romance. Okay, so that is it. Those are some of my favorite Sapphic romances. I feel like I'm forgetting some. Hello, this is Editing Sam here. I was editing back this video and realized I did indeed forget some books that were on my list. First one is The Queen Takes Rose by Katie Roberts. This is the very last installment of her Wicked Villains series. If you don't know what her Wicked Villains series is, it's basically like a twist on Disney fairy tales where the villains are the heroes in the romance book, so they're the ones with the princesses. Book follows like a leader in Carver City, but they all attend this BDSM club that's owned by Hades, and it's how they all connect. You can technically read these books out of order, but I think it's best if you read them in order. I know this is the last book in this series, but their romance is hinted throughout the rest of the books, and it just makes it more enjoyable that way. But if you read it out of order, I feel like you would be fine. This one follows Aurora and Maleficent, or Aurora and Malone in this book. Aurora works at this BDSM club that Hades owns, and Maleficent, or Malone, wants a contract where she can keep her as a submissive for a certain set of time, and Aurora only agrees out of almost like a revenge plot because Malone is the leader of her portion of Carver City, but in order to obtain power, she ends up fighting Aurora's mom and putting her in the hospital. So she's trying to like avenge her mother. It follows their romance and kind of an open relationship. There's all different types of dynamics in this book. There's poly romances with one girl, two guys, one girl, all literally so many different dynamics. It's a really well written, thought out series. And the one I'm reading right now is Patience and Esther, which is actually a graphic novel set in the Edwardian time period. I feel like I always pronounce that incorrectly, but it's when King Edward was the king. It's described as a steamy period romance and an inspirational erotic journey across the epic sweep of history from the end of a gilded age to the start of an uncharted future. Patience is right here. She's the housemaid of our other heroine, Esther, and it follows their romance, and it is a graphic novel. Like I said, oh, sorry, I have something in my throat. The art in this is so beautiful and very, very steamy. Like, oh my goodness, I'm trying to like find something that would not get me demonetized. Yeah, it's just very beautiful and very steamy. It's so cute because on the back it says adults only, because yeah, some graphic steamy times happen in here. Those are just some additional recommendations I had to throw in here. So let's get back to the rest of the video. I really do. I know I have more. Maybe I'll do a part 2 to this video. Anyways, let me know what your favorite Sapphic romances are so I can read them, maybe in a reading vlog. I would love to do that. As always, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. It means the absolute world to me. I hope you guys are all staying happy and healthy, and I will see you in tomorrow's video for Trope Week. All right.